Working, hooray!
Nice to hang out with you here at the Hangout. So, okay, let's talk about our upcoming workshop.
Well, I just wanted to say that this is multi-dimensionality because I'm here in England by the seaside and you're in New York, and wow, we're talking to the world. How multi-dimensional is that?
Well, I think there is something about technology that is preparing our psyche for the understanding that we can exist multidimensionally.
Yeah, it's like a metaphor, right, for all
Yeah.
abilities that are emerging now. So we've kind of launched into it, but we should just introduce ourselves perhaps for
Well,
those who.
let me just say something about that. Marshall McLuhan said, we create our tools and our tools create us. So our tools that we've created in technologies give us metaphors for the expansion of our consciousness.
Absolutely. And
And
so, what Alan and I are interested in discussing today and teaching when we're in Byron Bay and Melbourne is how we can actually bring these skills into play in our lives. Like, what are these skills and getting to know them? And actually, you were saying that it's so much easier than people think to
well,
express.
we don't need this technology to access what the technology is showing us we can be.
Right,
So, I mean, the most sophisticated instrument on the planet is the human brain.
right.
And we have a long way to go before, technologies can imitate the totality of what we really are as multidimensional beings, because, there's still, I mean, these types of automations give us a hint of who we possibly are.
Right.
So
Right.
we're
Well,
being trained. Yeah.
do you want to talk about where we've come from, the old ways, and the limitations of the old ways?
Yeah, let's talk about that. But before I do that, I want to say everyone's talking about, let's call it the new paradigm, because, I mean, it's become cliche, but everybody's talking about there's a new paradigm coming, but no one's actually saying what the new paradigm is or what that looks like or how it's an aspect of our functionality that's already here. And I think this is what the workshop that we're going to be doing is really about.
Right. I
It's
mean,
not that it's coming, it's here. Yes.
yeah, it's really interesting because a lot of people are thinking externally in terms of new social structures and new ways that humanity can live. But I was thinking, but what does the new human look like? Because really, it's like caterpillar becoming butterfly. And imagine when you make that quantum leap and suddenly you have this ability to fly, but you don't realize it yet. So I think that's where we're at now, is that we've got these skills that are there available to us, but we haven't quite got it that we can actually leave the ground and gain this higher perspective and do all these new things. So what is this new human being and what are these new skills?
Well, no, I think that's a really good metaphor because in a way, we're still in the cocoon. I
Uh,
mean, I think we are unfolding these new wings, but if you've always been a butterfly, and I'm a caterpillar, we've
yeah.
always eaten green leaves, we don't know what the nectar tastes like, and it's there. The flowers were all around that caterpillar, but the caterpillar was just interested in green leaves,
Right.
and yet this transformation of nature that was beyond the mind of the caterpillar happened. And that's where we are now, where it's something is happening that's moving, that's beyond us, I think. And so we are, yeah, we don't know what this new body looks like, and yet we have these new tools that are accessible. So just to go back to what your first question was, the old paradigm said
Hmm.
you have to think linearly,
Mhm.
one thought at a time, and it confined us. There were certain ways we were supposed to think that were the established ways, and if you thought differently, you were considered crazy or not a functional human being, or you couldn't relate to others. But in this new training that we're developing, me and you, separately and together, we're showing that reality is not just one way. There's many, many ways to think, and there's, in a way, many streams of thought. I think that's the biggest thing, is that in the old way, only one stream was allowed, and you had to think along these linear lines. But as the technology is showing us, and as non-linear thinking and even non-linear digital editing is showing us, that, you know, there's many streams that we can access at once, and that we can have the capabilities of thinking in many ways. So that's how I see, you know, we have to reuse the facilities of our brain. Maybe people call that multitasking, perhaps, but I consider it expanding the awareness to show that we are not just located in one space and time, but we have access to many dimensions and realities. I mean, how do you see it?
I guess my passion is this relationship between us and the field, and how the field is continually responsive to what we input into it and also what we can perceive through it. So that's what I've been teaching of late, and it's magical because it's actually so simple and it's so rich, you know. So we were talking about the word co-create, which I like because for me it's about co-creating creating in partnership with life. So again, it's not about the ego imposing its will on life, which is the old way that mankind has operated, but it's about really tuning in to see what life wants to create through you, and then bringing your creativity to that so that you can really blossom as a being that's in harmony with life. For me, that's the recipe for balance and harmony and obviously happiness.
Yeah, no, I thank you for saying that, because creativity is a great example of a non-linear demonstration of the way the universe operates. I mean, even if you're writing a story or something, sometimes you get the end of the story first or second, or there's a flow to the creative world that then has to then be put into a linear way. But we exist in the field of creativity that is bringing in many aspects of our being at once. So we have to get rid of the old psychologies, and I think creative expression is a way of showing us that there are new ways of thinking, and I think that's what we're retraining our brain to start to create. Let's say, you know, there's a jungle out there of thought, and until we like hack a path through the wilderness, it just looks chaotic. But as we create these different avenues and different ways of thinking, it in a way becomes legitimized. It becomes acceptable. And I think the internet is giving us a model for these many streams. Like, I could be talking to you, but I can also be, you know, on my email and, you know, accessing other websites, and, you know, and that's reflective of the facilities of our brains to be in many places at once, to have the awareness that we're not localized in time and space. And yeah, so what do you say about that?
What that made me think of is mastery. When you use that image of, you know, you're walking through these rushes and then you cut a path. Really, when I'm playing with the field and teaching people to play with the field, it's about mastery, because it feels like in the old times, the way we created our reality was based on what had come before. And actually, you can access your future self, you can access a probable self, you can access the probable self that has realized what you're looking to realize. So you can really play with so many dimensions of your being, and it's so simple. It's just this practice of actually doing it. So it's creativity and it's mastery and taking charge of the creation of that is your life.
Well, the other aspect I think that you brought up, which is very important, is the field. It also shows us that we contribute to a totality. So when I'm with you, it's not me. It's like we have now a field, and whoever's listening or watching is part of the field, and we're all aspects of a co-creation. So we become greater than the individuals we think we are. And a big part of the multidimensionality is realizing the contribution to the field, and that the field also contributes to us. So we're both the ocean, the drop in the ocean, and then the ocean in the drop. You know, it's like all that is going on.
Yeah, that's so inspiring because when I had this insight to start working in this way, I was at a conference with Greg Braden and the Hurtaks and a lot of great, great teachers. And I had this kind of out-of-body experience where I found myself, first of all, the energies were so strong that I was feeling sick throughout the whole conference. And then I found myself kind of leaving my body and accessing this version of myself that was expanded in every aspect of my life. You know, I was healthier, I was more dynamic, I was contributing more to life, I was more abundant, and it was such a feeling of like health and well-being. And this thought came in, it's like, if we are all cells in the body of humanity, we all need to access that level of well-being so that humanity can be really well. So I feel that we all need to take on our power and bring out the utmost wellness in our own being so that we can contribute, like make the maximum, the greatest contribution to humanity.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think that's why we're doing this workshop, because, you know, we're talking about co-creating, and we're co-creating a bigger field, a better field, and that depends on the health of the individual, right? If every cell has to be healthy, contributing to a whole healthy body. So we're coming into the body of humanity, and we are cells, and we're trying to evolve into the butterfly. And a lot of people want to hold on to being a caterpillar. You know?
They do.
Well, because that's comfortable. It's known. It's like they don't realize, like you said, they can fly because they're so used to crawling on the ground, eating green leaves. And it's okay, but there's something totally new coming, and I think in a sense we could be seen as pioneers because we're just you know, starting to suspect there's something more, and that we can use our brains for something more. And we can't judge it by the old paradigm that would consider this crazy.
That's right.
And that's the fear of accessing the multidimensional mind, is by judging it from the old ways of looking at it and say, well, this doesn't fit into the old ways.
Yeah, too far out. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we can't judge the future by the past, is what, you know, I think we're really starting to wake up people to. And as we venture out into this unknown field, it awakens new possibilities in other people that they have yet to imagine. And that's the excitement, I think, about doing a class like we're doing. Ideas that come from the unknown start to wake up in people, and they start to contribute even more to a vaster field of knowledge that is new for everybody.
I mean, it's so simple. What we're doing is we're basically saying to people, look, here are your wings. This is how you use them. Now go do it, because it's totally natural to you, because it's your nature. And of course, once that gets shown, people go, you know, once you make your first flight, it's like when you first ride a bicycle. Once you try it out, you can do it.
Right, but it's making the first flight. It's like jumping off the cliff. It's like jumping off that branch, and it is natural, of course. All the butterfly has to do is flap its wings, but if it still has the mindset, and that's why I say we're sort of in the cocoon still, because what happens to the caterpillar is that it totally dissolves its body.
Yeah.
There is no even essence of it. It becomes pure liquid, and I think as a culture, we have yet to totally dissolve the old ways, and I think we're in the midst of a re-emergence on all levels of our awareness, you know. So
Yeah, well, I guess we all gonna make that shift in our own time. So it's gonna be like dominoes. One's gonna go now, and one's gonna go in a couple of years, or so on, so on.
it's like water boiling, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
We're
giving people
giving
permission
people
to
permission
take that flight.
to take that flight.
Yeah, an invitation to join us.
Yeah.
So these
Yeah.
workshops are starting off in Australia, and then who knows where it's going to go from there. But we're going to be in Australia, in Byron Bay and Melbourne in March. And we're starting off with some evening workshops, and so there's some information about that on both our websites. Alan's website is newrealities.com, and my website is metamorphicjourneys.co.uk.
But I also want to say that I'm giving up
this
at Alex Plasm, the chapter of Sacred Mirrors, on January 3rd. So I'm giving a 3-hour talk on the multi-dimensional mind and demonstrations, and they can go to my website to see the January 31st full moon event. Sacred Mirrors. So that will be a little prelude to what we'll be doing in Australia. So I'm hearing an echo with a multi-dimensional effect.
I think there's a multi-dimensional thing going on the screen. It's flipping back and forth. Yeah, but that's going to be a really cool one because it's at Alex Gray's amazing venue, isn't it? With full of his multi-dimensional art.
Well, that is why because illustrating what will be demonstrated. That's more to the human being. He's one of the true, the future. I consider a friend and inspiration. So I'm very happy to be doing that because here's someone who's visually supplying what the expansion of consciousness will unfold into. So people are questioning the fact that it's possible. They're seeing these images that are demonstrating what it will be, and I'll actually be showing some of these images at our workshop too.
Wow, that's great.
So it's a map for giving people permission to expand into where we're leading them into.
Right. Well, I mean, there's so much more to say about this.
Well, I just want to know a little bit how that hooks into your past a little bit, because I know you come from these other workshops, metamorphic background. And can you just tell me a little bit how you developed this idea of multi-dimensional experience?
Well, you know, I was teaching Metamorphic now since 2006, teaching all around the world. And
what is Metamorphic?
Metamorphic is touch, which works with the power of life from within. So it's a very expansive philosophy, and the actual practice is very loving kind of touch. But then after that, I collaborated for 5 years with Ella Owen, and together we created a system called Sacred Life Alchemy. And really, this was for us a download of our own multidimensionality, because it was this deep inner alchemy, very complicated inner technology. So a lot of downloads, a lot of channeling, and really accessing those multidimensional aspects of ourselves as healers and teachers. And then she retired from the work, and what came through for me was teaching this way where people could, in a much simpler way, just co-create with the field. So, you know, yeah, the work that we're going to do together, or some of what we're going to do together, is just teaching them to be an artist of consciousness, and the many ways that they can paint with consciousness, whether it's about healing something from their past or bringing something into being. Like if they want to access their genius, how can they align to that field of genius which is there for them all the time? Or if they suddenly want to bring forth their musicality, or their ability to be a writer, or to be the goddess, or to create relationship, or whatever they want to paint on that field of consciousness, on that canvas, it can be done. So that's what I'm working with at the moment, and it just fits so beautifully with what you're bringing.
Right. No, it's very exciting. I like that you said that we are downloading, because part of the workshop we're doing is we'll be asking people maybe at the end after get used to like what we're doing together is to download, each person to download for themselves and a message or an aspect of this multidimensional mind and share that with the group. And those messages expand each one of us. Very exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Because when you get that deep inner wisdom from life, it's just very, it's, very exciting. It feels like it's like coming online, basically.
Yeah, and it expands each one of us.
Yeah.
So it's like the nutrition that's into the whole body and nourishing all in the body.
Yeah, right.
So
I love these workshops. Sorry, Alan.
I'm just saying benefits of what will happen.
Yeah, I was going to say that I love working in this way with people, because when they're tuning into themselves and the field, it's just so expansive, it's so liberating, and then off they go. They can play and just really become this artist,
Yeah, I never like what we'll be doing it. Not just in the field through what we call remote viewing, which you don't need to take a week-long workshop and study hours. All of us have those tools accessible to us right now if we learn to use the software of our mind. It's like, we have the software available, but we haven't clicked on it, so we don't know how to operate it. But it's right there. As soon as someone points out, you have the software.
Yeah, so I was really curious and interested for you to share how you think people would use the remote viewing in their lives. Here they are, multidimensional beings, and so what would they use it for?
Well, they could use it for how's their family. I'm going to check in on my children, or father. You open up your mind, you get empty. Really the key to accessing the multidimensional mind is not bringing in what you think is happening, and you make yourself available to this non-local communication, and you kind of tune into people, or you can tune to the future. How's it going to be if I go to this restaurant or take this job interview? It's a way of accessing something beyond time-space. So there's so much use when you really get good at this. It's a tool you're going to want to use all the time.
Like when you're traveling, you can see where's the best place for me to go, and then just go there instead of faffing about and going to the wrong hotel where you're really unhappy. And
right, it's another way to use the tools of what you use, the divining rod, or pendulum, kinesiology. There's a part of us that knows everything in time, space, present, and we just need to be aware of the tools of accessing the future.
So many exciting tools and so many exciting new abilities coming through. So that's what we're going to be playing with on these workshops.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. There's so many more tools that are being developed now that geniuses are coming into the field delivering to us.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. Thank you, Dominique, for connecting and being a long-time friend.
Yeah, I think I was just going to say there's some kind of crazy energy going on between us because of what's going on with the screen. I don't know what's happening your end, but my end.
I'm just hearing an echo.
Okay, my end, you and I are flipping back and forth every second, so it's kind of a bit like putting me in this altered state.
Well, maybe that's what needs to happen to access the multidimensional mind.
Obviously, it's part of it.
In a way, you do have the normal state of awareness and enter an altered state to start to bring into a greater field of possibilities. So let's see how this shows up on video.
Wow. So yeah, do check out the dates on the website and come spend an evening with Alan and I, because it's going to be fun, creative, and multidimensional.
Yeah, no, we're going to be playing a lot and playing with the three genius in each one of us, and anything is possible. And who knows, a spaceship may come down and just lift us all up. Or we'll teleport someplace.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll definitely become butterflies in a good way.
Cool.
So thanks. So yeah, check out my website, newrealities.com, or Dominique's website, which is
metamorphicjourneys.co.uk.
How do you spell metamorphic?
Metamorphic.
Well, you'll type it out.
Yeah. So lots of love, everybody. We'll see you. We'll see you at the workshops.
Yeah, so you can email us as well. You can email me at newrealities@earthlink.net, and your email is what?
info@metamorphicjourneys.co.uk.
And you could sign up for the workshop also on these websites. So, right, we look forward to seeing you and hearing from you, playing together. So okay, we'll do it.
All right, see you there.
Thanks. Talk to you.
Bye.